everybody, and welcome to LadiCEO Presents Seriously Single with your host, Arnya T.M. Davis of LadiCEO. I welcome you guys to this broadcast tonight. I have two great individuals, and I'm ready to get into this. We're not going to take up too much of y'all time, but it was placed in my heart, the thought, seriously single, after my last conference, which was I'm married now what? It was placed in my spirit last year because at that time it was a situation of people don't know what to do when they get married, but we always know what to do prior and preparing for it. Now I guess I'm going backwards a little bit and talk about being single. And being single is not married. So that's what's being single. It could be that you're in a situation where you don't want a relationship. Okay. It could be a situation that you're actively seeking a relationship. Or it could be a situation where you're just like, whatever comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're going to still roll with it and I'm still happy. I've been listening to this song this week, Happy and Single. And I was like, so many times we say we happy, and there's nothing wrong with being happy and being single and being content in our singlehood. But at the same time, you know, some people look at that as you're not looking. So I'm happy to bring this to you guys, the public, for that reason, because sometimes we get it mixed up. So we have Miss Patrice and we have
Ikechi.
Now, I'm going to do that all even because I hate for people to mess up my name. So I truly don't want to mess up his name. So we're going to do ladies first. And Mr. Patrice, will you introduce yourself, who you are, so we can know who we listen to?
So hi, everyone. My name is Patrice. I am a relationship blogger. I started about a year ago. And how I actually got started, I am divorced. I was married and I started talking about my journey of dating after divorce. So I live in the DMV area. I am a single mom of two young boys. I do work for the federal government, but I do enjoy being transparent and sharing the lessons that I have learned along the way, not only in my marriage, going through the process of divorce, and now being single and dating after divorce. So Anya, thank you so much. I'm so honored that you even asked me and thought enough of me to give me this opportunity. I appreciate you.
You are so welcome. We share many stories in the inbox. That's one of those situations where, you know, you see the meme and it says, if our texts ever leak.
Oh my God.
I don't need that happening. I don't need that happening because we share a lot of personal. I'm sharing on my page. That's why I keep looking down.
Okay.
You know, we share a lot of things because it's real. And I feel like women need a girlfriend to talk to be able to share those.
A no judgment zone.
Right, a no judgment zone. Mm-hmm. So Ikechi is here to give a man point of view. He's here to give a man's point of view because so many times we do talk to our girlfriends, and I pray that some men do join. I do pray that men do join. That is my prayer. But in case they don't, we have a man here because so many times we hear our girlfriends and we don't know. Our girlfriends know just about as much as we do about a man. So as I said in my post, they don't speak for everyone, but tonight they're representing for that. So Ikechi, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ikechi Ojore. I am the author of To My Future Woman Crush Wednesday. I'm a simple man trying to encourage men to be more vulnerable, to exercise muscles and thoughts that they haven't done before. And my hope is that as men and women, we learn to express far more than what we're doing right now, so that we live in a better world.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Are y'all single?
I am single.
Well, according to your definition, definitely. Seriously single.
It's so
I'm
funny
very,
because
very single.
I have to tell y'all, because Patrice was
You
like,
said not married, so I'm not married.
Yeah. I had to fix
Yeah.
my lash, y'all. It is doing the fool. If it comes off, we just gonna keep going with it. I used a new liner. These are my lashes. I do sell lashes. Anywho, and I was rushing to do it. So yeah, anyway. I'm gonna tell y'all a story real quick. It's super funny. Patrice said, Anya, how did you meet this man? I said, well, he was in my people I should know. I might know section, and I thought he was handsome. And I'm not gonna just say something to you, and I'm not gonna send a friend request either. So I was like, well, let me go check out his Instagram, because his Instagram is in his header line. And this lash is coming down, y'all, for real. It's in his header line. I'll just take it off in a minute. And so look, and so what I did was I looked up his Instagram and I started reading it, and I was like, oh goodness, okay, God, you know, maybe this is the man for me. I don't know, but I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch. I don't know. That's just something I do. And when the Seriously Single conference did come back to my mind, God gave me him. He literally put him back into my mind. So I was like, okay, God, you listen, today I ain't got time.
Right.
There you go. You feel it pretty.
Go for it.
That part. I was like, okay, God, this is why you brought him to my attention. You brought him to my attention for this reason, and I appreciate that. So that's the reason. That's how I found him. Patrice, as I don't know, I'm not gonna say as you guys know, but Patrice and I went to McDonald 35 Senior High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. 35, the best and the brightest, honey. We were in high school. And Patrice and I last year when I started talking about my dates, I started talking about dating, and I was on everybody's platform, dating platform. Patrice and I started talking a lot in our inbox, and then she walked in her calling. So you guys, that's the spiel. Now let's get into it. Everybody's single. So Ikechi.
Yes, ma'am.
Do men really get prepared for marriage, or we just think, are we just doing it by ourselves? Because I know I'm speaking from a woman, and I know most women, we're like, well, we're trying to get ready. I'm trying to do this and this, that, and third. Do men do that?
I don't think so. I try to only speak for myself. I try not to speak for all men.
Right.
I think that was a joke. In my world, like, no, I prepared for marriage. I mean, nobody prepared me to date. Nobody prepared me to court. Nobody prepared me for much in terms of relationships. So marriage is something that is like an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing exercise. Yeah, I don't think that's a goal for men. They're like, let's prepare for marriage. What y'all doing this weekend? Let's have it ain't something that we do.
So they're not coming to conferences. They're not going to relationship workshops. They're not going to singles workshops. They're just out here.
For every single workshop that I've been a part of as a speaker, for every relationship conference that I've ever spoke at, it's been, when I say 99% women, they come and they listen and they buy and they're trying to get more information. Again, I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Someone mentioned to me that there are thousands of men in jail because they don't know how to express themselves. When it comes down to it, we tend to we tend to run into things lacking information because we don't want to express how we really feel. To be a man means that you hold back and you don't say much, whereas being a woman is to be an expressive person. It's very what toxic masculinity is one of the catchphrases that's going around right now, but it's very toxic to not want to learn more than what you know. I don't know if we into the sex conversation, but okay, we doing that.
We got everything. It's up.
All right. Okay. I gotta ask. I had a conversation with a friend of mine about a week ago, and we were talking about how to be a man means that you just go for it. You know, like there is no the pleasure aspect for a woman is not really your importance. Is if you do your thing, and that's all that matters. And in reality, that's not pleasurable. That doesn't please me to not please the person that I'm with. Like it has to be a two-way street. It can't just be all about you all the time.
This is true. Real quick, Iris said, good evening. Good evening, Iris. Thank you,
Iris.
Thank you for joining. That makes a lot of sense because as growing up, we always find that, you know, we prepare the women. We're taught that, you know, a man is gonna come like this white horse. This man on this horse is gonna come and save us, and we have to be like this, and we got to be like that. And the boys are like, go out there and have sex.
Yeah, pretty much. It's funny because y'all from New Orleans, so that y'all would have that white horse type.
Well. Go ahead, I don't know what question you were going to ask.
I was about to say, Patrice, what's your thoughts on that? In being a woman of, I'm not going to say a particular age because I feel like we're still young, but we are of a particular age. We're not little girls anymore, and we've experienced life. What's your thought on that?
So, you know, like I've stated, I've been married and divorced, and I will tell you that I was not prepared or didn't understand what it entailed, or I had no clue what I was doing. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I didn't really see images of what it should be, right?
Yeah.
So I was the one, you know, we did the premarital counseling. We were a part of a newlywed ministry. And it just was some things I just didn't even understand about how to be a wife or how to deal with my husband. The main thing I was raised was to be able to be independent, take care of myself. And that's all I saw was independent women. And then going to church and hearing different things about, oh, you have to respect your husband. I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, oh, you telling me I should can you give me a definition of what respect actually looks like? Like, seriously, I didn't know. I had no idea. And so there were a lot of things that I did that I thought was right, not realizing I had good intentions, but they just was wrong. And so I'm not saying that my mom did anything wrong or my grandparents did anything wrong, but they did what they saw. So it's just so I will always say my divorce was the worst time of my life, but it was the best time of my life because now I believe that once I get married again and when I get married again, I will have just a different perception of how to maneuver as a woman and as an independent woman, but be independent. You know, that whole facade of have a husband and do this. It's so much more to relationships and marriage and then interacting with men than, you know, just having a wedding and sailing off into the sunset.
True, because my experience is I didn't grow up seeing healthy marriages. My mom wasn't married. She was a single mother. I was a product of an affair, meaning I was outside child. And my grandfather had a separate family from my grandmother, and my aunt just had her situations with her husbands. And I never seen this. I never wanted to be married, and I never wanted children. I always say it wasn't until I got to my church that I'm at now. Shout out to Friendship Baptist Church of the Colony. That I seen real marriages. I seen real marriages, and I had sisters tell me it's hard, but it's worth it, and this is what I want. So, speaking of the church, I truly believe, and you guys can chime in however, the church don't even prepare you for it. They tell you pretty much that, well, from my experience and just speaking of me, I feel like the church just tell us you have to be a wife is pretty much catered to her husband, and you have no identity for the most part. And whereas I'm like you, Patrice, I grew up as a strong woman, and you want me to shut up and be quiet. I don't know how that feels. I don't know what that means to shut up and be quiet. And my mother wasn't domestic, so I'm in the kitchen cooking all the time for you, because that don't sound right to me. And this house clean, but I'll tell you this: I'll get somebody to come clean this house, and we gonna eat. It just may not be home cooking every day, but can you respect that? So what do y'all think about that? Since we're Christians here, the whole do you feel like the church?
I did feel that way sometimes, because there were a lot of women who chose to stay home and raise their kids, and I'm like, well, I want to work, or I want to pursue my career. So what does that look like? I mean, am I not the Proverbs 31 woman because I chose to have a career and still have my family and have my husband? Is there a variety of different ways that it could look? And so as I'm evolving and as I'm growing, what I'm learning is everything is not cookie cutter. Individuals have to find what works for their relationship. And I'm gonna say this, and because I don't want to be long-winded, I want to give EKG a turn. I read this article in Essence magazine one time. It was years ago, and it has always stuck with me. There was this article about a marriage, and the lady said that she normally was the one to do all the house, like the grass cutting. She was the one to deal with the cars because that's what she was good at. Because I guess her dad, I don't know, that was her thing. Her husband was better at doing all the stuff inside. And so she said, but when people came to their house, all they saw was a beautiful house. It was never who did what, who did this. And she paralleled that to a championship game, like a Super Bowl. So it's like when you see somebody with a Super Bowl ring or a championship ring from a football, you don't normally ask them, all you know is that they won.
Right.
You don't normally say, well, what position? And so what it all boils down to, every couple, every marriage have to do what works for them. They have to define, they have to go to prayer between them and God, what works for them, versus getting caught up on the stuff we see in social media or comparing what may work for your marriage may not work for nobody, for the next marriage. And so you have to be true to yourself. And you're right. I agree with you. It makes you feel like it's supposed to be a certain way, but I don't think that it should be that way.
Right. Yep. Really quick, she chimed in. She said, what I was told and what I saw was completely different. So of course I went with what I saw, which was not the ideal picture of a healthy marriage or relationship. Iris said, amen. So Ikechi, chime in. Tell us something.
I completely agree with Patrice. I often say that you have to well, for one, my good friend and my old pastor would say that you have to let go of what you can't keep to gain what you can't lose. And what that means is that we tend to have this idea of something in our head, and then that we take that into our relationships and our jobs, and that will mess us up for our future because we holding on to this thing that we think we need. The idea of what marriage is, you said it, social media will have this, they will paint this picture that a man has to do this X, Y, and Z, or a woman has to do X, Y, and Z. But what works in your marriage, what works in your relationship works for you guys. And personally, I've never been married, but I was engaged. And at that time of my life, I didn't have the understanding that our relationship was our relationship and nobody else's. Like I let other people influence me to think the way they did in their relationships. The worst part is like their relationships were trash, but I'm over here just like, well, I mean, because they said it, and they married, that they know what it is. Now, most of the people who told me something are now divorced and working on their second marriages or working on whatever they're working on. But I had this idea that everybody else knew better than me, or everybody else knew better than we. And I lost out on a very amazing person because I had this very cantankerous idea. And I thought that I had to hold on to what it meant to be a man in order to be with this woman. And in reality, had I let go of that thought process, I would have held on to something that was amazing. Not that I'm missing out. I believe that she's doing.
I was about to ask.
No.
Lord say
He how we feel
from you.
Well, I mean, but again, I say, like, you have to let go of what you can't keep. I couldn't hold on to her, so I had to let go of her in order to live the life that I'm living now. So I wouldn't have this book. I wouldn't have moved to DC and haven't moved to Boston. I wouldn't have traveled the world had I been holding on to that person. So you have to let go of what you can't keep in order to gain what you can't lose. And as a Christian, we say the same thing. You have to let go of the sin in order to gain eternal life in Jesus Christ.
Right. Where are you located now?
I'm in Houston.
Okay. So we have Houston, DC, and Dallas here.
And wait, I wanted to add just to him before you move on. I don't know. I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying not to seek wise counsel or therapy. Is that you have to use discernment in who you're listening to, who you're getting advice from. Because some people, they mean well. They love you. They have good intentions. They're not trying to steer you wrong. But you just have to just use some discernment and prayer when you're seeking wise counsel from others. So,
and some people do want you. They want you to be in the same mess that they in. That's what they want.
Now that's a fact.
Yeah.
So you have to use your own discernment.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say, take what you need and leave the rest. Do you guys believe that a person who is not in a relationship, not married, should give a person who's married advice if they come to them? Like, do you think, because here's the thing, I'm going to say it doesn't matter because that person has been in relationships. Now you take what you need and you leave. But my perspective is it's whatever, because like my best friend, like the closest person to me, she's like my sister, she's married and she may come and she may say something and I'll be like, no, like, but I'm never, whenever somebody asks me anything about any relationship, I never tell them to leave. I always say, do what works best for you. I'm thinking on this terms, and I try not to really cast so much of me on there. But what are y'all thoughts on that?
Patrice?
I agree with you. Now that I'm, older and wiser, I like to now say I'm almost 40.
Yes. When I was 39, that's all I kept saying was I'm almost 40. I didn't recognize 39. It was I'm almost 40.
Yeah, that's my new tagline. I'm 40. I'm almost 40.
Well, I'm almost 40 too. So we.
Now that I'm almost 40, there's so many different aspects of a relationship, and sometimes it's good to get different people's perspective. So I may not, even though I'm in a marriage, it's still a relationship, and even though some people have not said I do, they have been in long-term relationships. So there may be some things, like for instance, you and I mean, not to put anything, but we've had where you like, girl, you'll be like, hey, and this is not a marriage, but it could happen in a marriage. Hey, have you considered that the person may be thinking this or thinking that? So I really think it just depends on what the topic is. So I think it depends.
I think that we should. I mean, I think that anybody can give good information. Like anybody can bring some solid change of thought or a different opinion, a different side of things. Because we tend to have our zoned in, like, this is what he did to me and this is what she did to me. We get it. I don't know what this is about. Why y'all be grabbing air? But we tend to have, be stuck into the mindset of where we at. And relationship or no relationship, they have an idea in that might be outside of yours. And sometimes we need that other opinion. We need that person that's an intercessor, like, hey, it might not be this. They might have really meant this. I mean, like, we all watch TV in here. We all watch TV, and the way that they show how people think, everybody is thinking something different. Let's say it's a drug movie, and everybody is like, I'm like, y'all doing some dumb stuff individually, but had y'all just had a conversation, you know, this thing would work itself out. And that's how it is in relationships. We tend to, you have a mind, I have a mind, we're thinking two different things, and they don't always work together. So we might need that person or somebody to say, hey, look, break it down. How do you really feel? You know, break it down. How do you really feel? And let's put that together. So, I mean, yeah, relationship or marriage be damned. If we need help, we need help.
And sometimes we need someone to help us to take the emotions out of it. Because that's one of the things I had to learn, even going through my divorce. That's one of the many lessons that I learned. You have to take the emotions out of it and look at the fact that, you know, women, we have a hard time doing that because we're you know, we could be super emotional, even though men could be very emotional. I am learning men are very
emotional.
You are more emotional than what we realize, and we've stereotyped you all to not have certain emotions, I guess because you all don't express it. But baby, y'all are just as emotional.
Baby.
Well, I mean, that comes down to like years of being taught not to have an emotion. Like, I mean, imagine I'm 39 right now, and at 5, somebody punched me in the chest and said, hold it in, you know, and then when you meet somebody at 30 and they like, hey, tell me your feelings. And it's like, what's that? What you want me to do?
Right.
You know, like, I have 1,000 emotions and I have 1,000 thoughts about my emotions a day, but I haven't been taught to express them. That's what I say, that this was an exercise. Like, I have to, I couldn't tell the person I love how I really felt other than saying, I love you. That's not a real expression. That's just 3 words that go in sequence with each other.
Right.
But it's an exercise. Like, hey, how do I truly show emotion outside of I love you? And is it okay to cry? Is it okay to need help? Things that they tell us men that we aren't supposed to have. And what is your wife but a helpmate? You know, if nothing else, it's those things. We have to be able to lean onto people's shoulders. I'm sorry, Patrice. I just took yo.
No. but I want to ask you a question. I know. Can I
had a question too, so it may be the same thing that I was going to ask. Go ahead.
Oh, so I want to know then, as a woman and as women, how do we work through that when because
I was going to ask that, like, because you can't tell a man this is a safe space. He's not going to believe that this is a safe space, like. And I've been accused of this so many times. And real quick, somebody told me that was like, Anya, you're like a cheerleader, because when I meet you, I'm like, okay, let me see what you're into, because I know I need a cheerleader. So I'm trying to cheerlead you. And they were like, Anya, you come on too strong. Like, you trying to cheerlead, they never had that, so they don't know what to do with it. So tell us.
Help us again. How do we get patience?
I think that it's a scene thing. I think that it's something that you have to show people. Like, hey, if you want somebody to be expressive, you have to be expressive. I know I'm a very reciprocal person. I want somebody to do the same things that I'm doing, and that's the way I receive it. You know, I see somebody and I'm like, well, hey, I care about you a lot. And then they'd be like, cool. That means I ain't saying there's no more to them. You know, that's not my thing.
That's great.
But what if they need something different? Were you finished? I'm sorry. I thought you were done with that thought. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying that, like, it has to be something that you, maybe in small bits that you do. It doesn't have to be go full-fledged, but like, you give them a little bit and give them a little bit more so that they open up. I tend to relate to someone when they are giving me what I want, you know, and not necessarily what I want, but when I tend to try and give more because I see them trying to give more, and that's the way it works. Especially when I really want to be with this person, when I care about this person, I want to be expressive. I want to give that emotion, but like, everybody don't get this. It's not for everybody.
Right. So what if, for both of you guys, what if, because I'm the same way, and I'm I'm this cheerleader. I want to know what you got going on. Let me help you push you to your dream, because I need that support as well. I need somebody that's gonna be like, sit, little mama, your podcast Tuesday, you got everything you need. I need that. But what happens when you meet someone who don't need that, who doesn't need the same thing that you need? They need something different. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot be together. To me, it doesn't mean that I can't be with them. It's about learning them. But how well do we do that as singles? Push past the envelope to something that may be uncomfortable. Because I mean, as much as I like gifts, I like time and attention more than gifts. So, whereas I might need time and attention, you're trying to give me a gift, so you missed it. Are we open to that as singles?
Well, I mean, I think that, I'm sorry, Patrice, I'm gonna get you to go ahead.
Go ahead, start. Since your thoughts going, go ahead.
I think that we all need to learn what love looks like for the person that we're with. We tend to just love the people. We love people the way in which we love. I think that makes sense. We tend to receive it. We tend to give it how we receive it, and we don't usually try and translate love from someone else. I'll give you a small story. I was in the airport in Dubai a couple years ago, and I lost my charger on the plane. I went to the Apple store and said, "Hey, I need a charger." The guy in English said, "Hey, here are the chargers. What else do you need?" And that's all I needed. But I saw him that day speak to 5 different people in 5 different languages.
Wow.
And it was amazing to me. And I was just like, yo, how many languages do you speak? He was like, man, I speak 7 languages. And I said, and how long did it take you to learn it? He said, it took about 2 years for me to learn those 7 languages. And I said, wow. He was like, well, here we work by commission. And if 7 people come in speaking 7 different languages, I miss out on money if I don't speak that language. But if we did that in relationship, we miss out on so much because we tend not to want to learn the language of the person that we're with. We only want to learn. We only want to talk to people. And this is in America. We are just some arrogant people. When the Hispanics come up to us and they speak in Spanish to us, we don't try and understand them. No, I want you to speak English. Yeah. But like, the reality of the fact is, every country that I go to, everybody tries to speak to me in my language. They've said some of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, but they tried to speak to me in my language. We don't tend to try and speak to them in their language. We only try and speak to them in our language. So I've been trying to learn Spanish. Why? For no other reason than to exercise that thing that I've never done, just so I can speak to someone else in a different language. Because it's a whole world. I know you live in DMV. It's Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans.
Yeah, it's everybody.
Dallas,
everybody
it's
here.
Puerto Ricans, it's Hispanics.
Yeah.
It's everything.
And you're right. I don't try to
next
learn.
to us.
I'm learning.
What if you learned Spanish and you needed something done in your house? Do you think that you would get it done faster or less?
I probably get it done at a cheaper price.
At a cheaper price. Well, it's the same thing in relationship. If we learn our partner's language, if we just we just tried to translate it just a little bit, just to help understand, just paid attention to what he wanted and how he understood it. In Spanish, Mexican Spanish, I said this is going to be a short story, my bad. Okay. In Spanish, in Mexico, Spanish is completely different than Cuban Spanish.
Right, Puerto Rican,
Cuban
and
Spanish. Yeah, Cuban Spanish is different than Spain Spanish, Espanol. So like, they have these people who speak the same language, but they're not saying the same thing.
Right, are different. Yeah,
we both speak English. What do you want? Oh, this is for y'all. What do you want to eat? I don't know.
See, what you not gonna do is that.
He's not lying, though, Arnya. He's not lying.
You're not gonna do that to us.
He's not lying, though. He's not lying. We complicate stuff.
I know what I want all the time.
That doesn't mean that you get upset because they don't know what they want. That just means that you open the playing field, like, hey, would you like this? Would you like this? Would you like this? Would you like this? Let's open it. And if she's like, I don't want nothing to eat, get something anyway. But it's that thought process. You have to be able to translate what somebody else is saying. And that's what love is. Love is patient and love is kind.
It is.
If I'm being patient and if I'm being kind with you, I'm learning what's outside of my field of thought. Like, I only know what I've learned in my 39 years. But if I stop learning at 39, then I'm not really saying that I love anything.
Right.
So
right.
what he's saying is speaking like he's calling me out inside transparent moments. So and these are for people, I like to speak for the people that's been married, divorced. We're gonna be all right, okay? You're gonna be fine. Just take your little lessons, your L, you learn, you move on. But in my marriage, I did not study my husband. I didn't. And even with me learning his love language, like one of his love languages when we were married was words of affirmation. And for me, I'm like, well, and that wasn't my love language at the time. Funny enough, it is now. Now that I'm almost 40, my love language is, one of them is words of affirmation. And and like you said, arrogant, I didn't think about it. I'm like, well, why should I, tell him congrats, thank you for taking out the trash, or why should, and so now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I completely missed the mark with him. And so now in my dating life, when I, dating and stuff, I have a tendency now to study people more. I'll study a man a whole lot more. I want to know what they like to eat. I didn't do that with my husband. And and I'm somewhat ashamed of that, but I didn't understand the importance of it at the time. And if I would have taken the time to, maybe study, study him, know what he liked. If anybody else in the world, I needed to be understanding his language, how he spoke, what he liked, what he didn't like, how he didn't like it. But I bet you best believe it won't be like I won't miss the mark the next time. I may miss it sometime, but I'm very intentional and my memory is horrible. So I'll even create a list on my phone,
right.
Even with my friends, to know what you like, what you don't like, birthdays. If it's a certain holiday, I'll put it on my calendar because if it's important to you, I want to be more intentional about showing you, but the problem is when I date people that don't understand that concept. So I'm like, I put it out there. I have my 3 primary love languages, 20% equally, is words of affirmation, quality time, and acts of service. You fill any of those little buckets every now and then, I'm happy. And so you're absolutely right. We do not do that in relationships. We do not take the time to study our friends or even the people that we're dating are getting to know or to filter to see if they're even worthy of our time. So everything you said was on point.
Edie said yes somewhere in there. Y'all was talking. I already said yes, so y'all must be really on it. And she was like, you said selfish, yes. And
that's the word, selfish. Yep,
selfish, because I was dating a guy. And we had dealt with each other for 7 years. And this was the 7 year. It wasn't a relationship. It was a situationship. And I heard it was just a bunch of stuff. Anyway, this year he told me one day he was in my house. And he said, you never asked me how to love me. And I was like, but I did things that you liked. Like, I don't understand. He was like, but you never asked me. And after he told me the things that he needed, I still was like, that's what I was doing. But I think he just needed me to ask him. So now as a woman, now 40, over 40, I'm 40 now. I look at it a little bit different and I say, I'm going to ask, what is it that you need? Because I need to see if I can actually provide that. Because I do so much in my hands in so many buckets that I've had men just, when I tell them what I do, everything that I do, because they ask, because I don't know how to just lie to you and tell you I do one thing. Because then when I say I'm doing something else, then you're going to be like, but you didn't tell me you do that. It's almost like they're like, you don't have enough time for me. And I'm like, I make time and I create time. And I will make it my point because that's important to me. And I'm intentional with that to spend time with you, to show you that I care, to show you all these things. So what happens when, say for instance, You're doing all the things that you know to do, and you've even asked them what is it that they need, but in some kind of way you feel like they're pushing you away. What do we do with that? Because so many times, because I mean, speaking for myself, I hate rejection, and I hate feeling like I'm in this thing by myself. But I'm always told that you have to hold on. See, that song Track Star, that was made for me, because I was that girl. She's a runner, she's a track star, she gonna run away when it gets hard. But I've grown now to try to work things through now. But how do we do that? How do we, as a single, I'm out here, I'm dating, I'm trying to see what this is and this, that, and the third. But now I feel pushed. I feel like you pushed me away. So what do I do with that?
Well,
you asking EKG or
EKG?
EKG, I'm sorry.
Chi. Like a Chi.
I almost said it. Okay.
EKG. I'm like,
you're asking from a male's perspective or just?
I'm asking from both perspectives, both single people.
All right, because I have a follow-up question to that too. I mean, I'm so glad he's on here. That is hard for me because I don't like rejection neither. And I'm more, now that, I've grown into the space of wanting to study. It's hard, and it's even harder when what I'm giving is not reciprocated. Mm-hmm. So not only is it not reciprocated, I've grown, to really like you. I want to, be with you. I'm showing interest, but it's like, what's going on? At first I thought you were interested. Now you're not. Are you? How do you communicate, or how do you get a man to talk about those type of things? Because my natural instinct would just to keep it pushing, be like, all right, well, bye.
I might let you a little bit later. So Ikechi,
yes, help us.
Talk for me.
I don't speak for every man,
right?
But the consensus is, I mean, I think we hear the phrase like "know your worth," right? So if somebody is pushing away from it, the first thing I would say is to communicate better with them. Try and express and try and figure out where that's coming from. I say often that we all hurt, and we all got issues, and it's really about whose issues you can deal with. So that's a major factor, is that we need to talk about, like, hey, the last woman that I talked to, the last woman I dated, I was the expressive one in the relationship, and she had lack of expression, which is different for me because I'm usually the lack of expression person. So I'm telling, her, hey, I feel this way, and I feel this way, and I feel this way. And she would literally hit me with the cool, like, cool. And I was like,
ooh, that would drive me.
Well, that probably
you go hit me?
You probably never hit me.
When I was to the point where I was going to run, she said, hey, my last relationship was verbally and mentally abusive, where I was very expressive, and I learned that I can't do that very fast. And so with me, I'm like, hey, I'm waiting on this expression. And literally, this is how it would go. I would express something to her. 2 weeks later, she would come back around and was like, hey, this is how I feel. And I'm like, man, my thought was, that was 2 weeks ago. Like, I felt neglected in my, like, hey, I gave something to you that I don't give often. I was vulnerable to you, which I am hardly ever. And you took your time, you took your sweet time. But I see it now as she was trying to make sure that that's how I felt. She was being very cautious about her feelings, being very guarded about everything, and honestly, that's where our relationship stopped, because she wasn't willing to open up any more than what she had. Like, this is all she had. She didn't want to deal with it any further. She said that she was going through counseling. She said that she was working it out. But where I was at the time is like, hey, I'm ready. But we all need to work ourselves to the point to get there. To get. Did that make any sense?
I know.
We have to be either at the same plane or closer to it. And so my first inclination is to tell you to try and understand where this person is, and that's a big thing for me. I'm a a acts of service and quality time person as well. But I need to see that we are compatible in so many other things, or that you have the capacity to try and be in my realm. Everybody ain't for me. You know, I posted something earlier. It's like, you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm somebody's Grand Marnier. I'm somebody's Crown Royal on ice. You know,
baby.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is, like, you ain't for everybody, and it's okay to step away from things. Again, the same phrase: you have to let go of what you can't keep in order to gain what you can't lose. And if I let go of this thing, I know that I'm gaining myself from this situation. The person that's for you will not only be reciprocal, but he will want to know what it takes to love you, and he will want you to know what it takes for you to love him. Not just ask you, like, you ain't never asked me what it takes for me to love me. Like,
that's why he's gonna be.
Hey, look, this is what I want you to know about me. This is what I want you to know. Look, you're paying attention. This is what I need. It's those pieces. It's those pieces.
Right.
And again, I can't speak for everybody, but this is what I'm learning to do: is say, fuck whatever is going on, and fuck what everybody else is thinking. You and I are right here. Learn to love in the manner in which the person needs the love. You know, there are so many other love languages that are not written down. I'm a music person. I'm a playlist person. Like, send me a playlist. That girl.
Did you check out our playlist?
Yes, the playlist. Yes, love music.
That girl sent me. She sent me some Anita. She must want me to clean up my house. But
you're a mess.
But you get what I'm saying. It's so many ways. There's so many ways, and we like to, like, narrow everything down. What do I need to do? But in reality, like, I can show you better than I can tell you.
Right.
Why? Because I'm not an expressive person. So like, this is why this is an exercise for me. Me talking to you two ladies it's an exercise. Like, all right, when this person comes around, when this woman that I know and I love, hey, look, I'm not trying to fuck around. I got this much time. I'm almost 40. I'm trying to give you the best that I got, you know?
Yeah.
Now, okay, so I always say this. I always say I'm a good woman, but I feel like a good woman, good person is objective, because that's by our own definition. But I always tell people that just because that's a good man doesn't mean he's the man for me.
Good for you. I say that all the time.
And it kind of goes with the question that was said already, but I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper into the not same even playing field. So what do you do when this person you really digging them, they got everything that you want, but they have a different faith, or they got everything you want, but you're more expressive and you're a go-getter and they rather just be home chilling? Again, what do you do with these things, and how do you manage that?
Well, okay. So compatibility is important. You know, I'm learning that compatibility is important, and I've had to create a list of things that were really, really important. They may be good, they may be nice, and all these kind of things. But if I like to go out, a really good friend of mine brought this to my attention this summer. If I'm a person that likes to be out and be social, but the person that I'm with does not, over time, that gets old. That kind of gets old. You could kind of start to bump heads after a while. It works for some people. It works. It may not. You have to determine what will bother you and what will not. I think that the older I get, I want me and my man out, hanging out, taking trips. I'm not so much of a homebody. So I don't know if that will work for me. There may be some things that I will forego and I will be okay with. But I really just think it depends on what's you're willing to work with. I like you use that example. So I know that won't work for me. Now, sometimes, like, I'm a quasi extrovert. I like to be out, but not bothered all the time with a bunch of people. I want to be bothered with the people that I'm with. So I don't mind being in a social setting, and I'll speak to everybody because I talk to everybody. But it depends on my mood. But if I'm out with people, please don't bring no extra people that I don't really give me a heads up so I could
let me know
my energy be sitting at a table with them versus having to wave and speak to them as they're passing. So it's just some things are a deal breaker for me and some things are not. Like, I'm trying to think, and faith, like, no, there are some things that are just not that I have on a list that my therapist worked with me through on having that are non-negotiables. And then there's some other things that, okay, whatever. So
right.
It depends on you. But compatibility is important.
Yeah. I'm with you. Compatibility is very important. But capacity is a huge thing as well. And I like to say that everybody's 100 ain't the same. Somebody could be giving you their all, and that's their 100, but it's only your 60, and you need to be able to decipher that. Like, hey, like, I mean, I appreciate you giving me your all, and that's all you have, but that's not enough for me. I personally, I am a Christian, but I think, again, that everything works for the way y'all work it out. Like, I know people whose parents are Muslim and Christian, and they, have lived a happy life. I think often that God's eyes are much stronger than mine and much better than mine. So I could say, this is my list and this is what I don't want. But in reality, I'm just taking away from what God might have for me. So in faith, I know that God is huge in my life. At the same time, there are other faiths that believe the same thing. So I don't want to diminish that. But knowing that that capacity and compatibility are huge as well, I just need to know that we are compatible on so many other levels. And it's not just one thing. It's again, God's eyes are stronger than mine. So right. I don't know what he has for me, and I don't want to take it away. You might have been married to somebody he was unattracted to. He didn't think he had a chance, but he got that opportunity. So I mean, yeah.
I had a guy tell me once. He said rules are for them dudes that you don't like, because I don't have any children. And I used to say, I don't want to date for a long time. I wouldn't date a man who had children, because I need you to be a part of your children's lives, but then that take away from my time, as selfish as that sounds. And I'm just like, I need somebody that to go on those trips. Excuse me. Now, I'm an ambivert. What that is I enjoy being out, but I enjoy being in my house. I can sit here in my house and be still, because I didn't have so much people time that I just want to be in my house. And sometimes I want to be with my little booski. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't even want to talk to him. I want to just be here quiet in my own space. So what you say, Patrice, I've realized that I might need somebody that's laid back. Nothing about me says laid back. I'm not. I have blue and purple hair. That does not say laid back. I have a big personality when I'm out, but again, when I'm in, I want to come here, close my blinds, and I might even turn on the TV. I might just look through Facebook and play my games on my phone, because that's what brings me joy. But I thought about being with somebody who is up like me, and I don't know, y'all. So that's my input. I don't know.
I mean, just because we like to be out together potentially don't mean that he's not laid back. So that's what I'm like. It just depends. It just depends. Like, you have to figure out,
you have to figure out what works for y'all.
For you. Yeah. And that's the thing about women that I hear from men quite often. And one of the things I had to learn, you have to determine what you want. I don't think we always know what we want. I don't think we take the time to really hone in on what is it? What do you want? Like, girl, what do you want? I mean,
at 40, I know.
You know, right.
I know.
And so I've gone through enough where I'm clear where I am right now, what I need, how I need it, and what I want. But I've taken the time to study myself too, and really, you know, sit with myself to be like, you know, instead of just going through the motions and just, you know, because being nice, you know, I meet nice guys all the time, but
that ain't what you want.
I need more than just nice. That's how I kind of wind up going.
I got you.
You know, because I'll meet a guy that's nice, but he don't have no goals, or he don't have this, or he doesn't have a plan for his life for the next, you know, some kind of like, what do you want? Do you know what you know? And that's important to me. You know, I need to know you can lead yourself and lead me, or I mean, you have some kind of idea what you want. And I'm just being hypothetical right now, but it's just, you know.
I feel it. And I was just saying, like, I don't necessarily know what I want at 40. I know what I don't want. And like, I can tell you.
You'd be surprised.
I know.
I mean, look. I mean, all right. So I often write my worst date stories on Facebook. I have. I don't have a blog.
We need to do a show on that.
Hey, look.
What? On worst date stories.
I just realized that, like I'm listening to both of you. I'm the laid back dude. I'm gonna be at the house. No, like I'm a musician.
My husband. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I'm often like out because of being a musician and being doing all the stuff that I do. But I would rather be at the crib. Like, I'm often traveling. I'm often going somewhere, but I would much rather be at the house. Don't get me wrong. When I go out, I'm ambivert as well. So I can enjoy myself. I know plenty of people. We're going to have a good time. But look, at a certain time, you ready to go. Because
I have to have that person. I look at him and I'm like, we good?
Yeah, we good.
We had enough time. Right. I mean, that's true though. Like in that, especially in that, I have to have some, even with my girlfriends, I have to be able to look at you and we be like, yeah, it's time to go on and go. Cause I don't like clubs no more. Like I like a nice lounge.
Yes.
I can even do a cigar lounge. I just don't want, I don't need
extra people. Yeah. A whole bunch of big crowds all the time. I like to be in a laid back environment if I'm going out. So,
right. So, what do you think about? And we're coming up on an hour, so give me a little bit more time, y'all. What do you think from a man's perspective? I know how Patrice feel about this because we talk much about it, and we've talked publicly about this. Dating and dating often. Now, here's the take on that. We're not in a committed relationship. I just met you and I'm getting to know you. And I may have been chit-chatting, going out with someone else. I'm not having sex with none of y'all. But if a person is, that's on them. I believe that I have learned so much about myself from dating multiple people, especially at the same time. Because I didn't miss out on somebody and learning them. And I learned that's how I learned that I like a laid back guy. Like, I don't need a man who is the life of the party, because when I walk in, a lot of people want to know who I am. And I may not even open up my mouth because that's just the aura that I carry with me. So I need somebody. That's how I learned that. And that was because I was dating somebody else. Then I met him. And I was like, I like this laid back, calm. I always say it, a calm to my storm. Because when I'm coming, I'm coming. So because I know women say that, date and date often. Now, what I've learned is that men tend to date and date often, but they don't tell you. And they get mad if you do. So what's your put on that? We know that you don't speak for all men. You only speak for yourself. We got that disclaimer 100 times.
Me personally, I tend to date and date often. I like to ask people what their way of dating is. Do you date singularly or do you date plurally? And I let it be known that I date plurally, because I mean I've done it both ways. I think that plurally I learn more about myself as well. Singularly, it feels like I've wasted time trying to get to know someone and then it doesn't work. So I tend to date more than one person at a time. I'm not trying to have sex with more than one person. This is just dates. But I think that you just have to know yourself enough to know what it is that you want. I think that one person can shine through brighter than anybody else.
Exactly.
And make you not want to date. And I guess that's what my goal in dating is to meet someone that makes me not want to date anybody else.
Nobody else, right?
And it's definitely happened before where it's like, oh, I've been on a dating site. I don't know if you guys have been on a dating site before. Okay. And you know that like on a dating site, like you can get inundated with people, and you could be like literally. When I lived in DC, oh my God, like it's 22 women for every one man. You know, and it's like, oh, okay, let me see how many dates I can go on. And in reality, like 19 of them didn't really have no personality, but like one person was shining through the whole time. And I was like, all right, I don't really want to know y'all. You know, I'm really going to give my time and my energy towards this one person.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that it's up to you to be honest about the situation and to just really know yourself.
Agreed.
Well, I'll give my 2 cents, even though I ain't said. So I agree with you, and I've had seasons of where I serial dated. I call it serial dating, where I just went on a bunch of different dates. But after a while, it gets exhausting.
It does.
So I'm in a burnout phase where just chill, trying to see what's going on with some things. And but it could be fun. And I have learned so much about myself with dating over the past 3 years with online dating. I've done Bumble. I've done what's that other website? I can't
remember. I just got for Black People Meet this past month.
Yeah. You've never tried Bumble?
Yeah, no, she said Black People Meet. How old is this? What year are you in?
I'm older than y'all, okay?
I haven't done that one.
Okay?
Is anybody even on there? Did you meet people on Black People Meet?
There's Black men on there. They got other people on there besides Black people.
Now, that's my one regret. That's my one regret, that I did not take the opportunity to date outside of my race. Like I should have, while I was in this serial dating phase, I really wish, but ultimately I wouldn't, no shade to other races. I would prefer
I prefer Black men.
Yeah,
Black men for white men.
Yeah, but I wish I would just still did the experience, because you see, when I started dating again, my thought was I want to have fun, I want to meet people, and I've met people that have now become my friend. Mm-hmm. We weren't compatible or it didn't work out. I don't know. They're just my friends now. And I know if I need anything, I could potentially, I could call them. We keep in contact, but it's nothing more or nothing less. But I do, and I think Black women too, and I don't know about other races, but we are good for meeting one guy and stopping. That's it. We don't. We weren't taught like how you all were to date often and really scour the land for what is the better guy for us. I'm gonna say most of us did. I know I didn't know that. It was frowned upon. So in my new dating journey, I did that. And I learned a lot about. I was able to learn more about me, what I like, what I don't like. And so, here I am. But if I had my preference, of course, I would want to go back to just, I would want to meet my person and just date them and give all my energy that I have left over after working and being a mom and doing all these other things to that person, or just having a partner to do life with, period.
But I think that's where I'm at right now.
I gotta trust the process.
Over 40, I date often. If I'm dating somebody and somebody else come and I'm really not feeling them, I am gonna date somebody else.
Yeah.
But I date singularly, but most of the time now, because I'm not dating anybody, nobody's here in my space. So when somebody steps up, it's not a dating more people. I'm not gonna just run out. I'm getting to know them, but I don't put all of my eggs in one basket, as we've been taught, you get to know them and everything. I'm open-minded about the situation, but I keep saying my best friend want me to have a baby for her. I mean, if I'm going to meet a man, and most men that I meet have children, they don't want no more. But what if I meet a guy who don't have children and he wants one, and I'm not having kids? I said 40, but now I'm at 45. That is a definite. I'm not having no children over 40.
Because I was just about to say, you got a good 5 years or so left to still have kids.
Sis, you sound like her. No, I don't know. So,
well,
go ahead.
I'm with you. I don't have any kids, so like I meet people my age. I meet women my age, and either they already have kids or they don't want to have kids, or they give me the for my husband I might. And it's like,
right. And I've learned to listen when somebody says something.
Yeah, that's the realm that I fall in. I don't want to really give birth to any more kids. However, if one comes along and God moves upon my heart, I'll give one more.
See, I think
I can't completely say never. But my preference, I would be a great bonus mom.
But see, here's the thing now, real quick, and then I'm gonna let this be my last question, you guys.
Okay.
So, y'all tell me this. So when we're looking at that, listening, one thing I've learned about dating is listening to what a person says. Because I've always said that I want the option. So I'll meet a guy and he's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm open to it. Well, they'll say, when we first have that conversation, I don't tell them that I want the option. I'll just be like, how do you feel about children? And they're like, I don't want no more. No, never, this, that, and the third. And then when I say, well, I want the option, then they change it up. So not just with that, what about when you're talking to someone and then they change up what they said to fit this situation so they can be with you? How do we do that in this dating, this single life, being serious about being single? How do we do that? Do we listen to what they said the first time, or do we allow them to change their mind later, because people can't change their mind? Your thoughts?
Well, I'll go. Because you're speaking about, I'm not saying that I do that. But
I'm not just talking about children, though. I'm talking about anything, because I was in a situation once also where the guy was like, we both were like, we don't want a relationship. But then when we started kicking it, I was like, ooh, I can see myself in a relationship with him. And then he in turn changed it up and said, you know what? I see what's going on here. We both can do this. But then he turned around later on and threw in my face, well, when I first met you, I told you I didn't want a relationship. So just anything. They say one thing, then they change it up to fit the need of the situation. So
okay. That's layered. So I'm gonna try to be real brief. Sometimes people speak from a place of fear, or when they're first starting out, and then once they get to meet you and talk to you, they're comfortable and they're like, you know what, this is a safe space. So because like for me, I'm already a single mom. I'm not trying to have another baby and then be raising a third one. I don't want to do that no more. But if I was to meet a guy and it was a safe space, and I feel that I feel the protection and all of those things that I need, and that is something that he asked, and I want to honor his request, I will probably be open to it and change my mind. Okay. So that, but then there's some people that's just flaky, and you learn that over time as you get to meet them. You have to see what their consistency is like. And, but you do have to keep your ears and eyes open, and see, what that person is like. Because if they're like that with one thing, they'll probably be like that with other things. If they lack consistency, then that's I hate to say a red flag. That's something to be concerned about, and you pay attention to, because people do that. Especially, I know for men, they'll say that They don't want to be in a relationship, and it confuses women because then some men do relationship type stuff, bring us around family, we doing all this stuff together, and then when we have the conversation, it's like, well, I told you I didn't want a relationship. Well, I'm confused. So I think that's kind of like what you're talking about. And men that are like that, you have to you need to have that conversation early on versus later on, especially when dynamics of the relationship start to change. That's what I find worked for me.
Okay.
So, yep.
I'm with you, actually. I think that you just need to have that conversation and understand, like, hey, tell me what it is. Don't try and be like me. Don't answer my questions in the way you think I want it to be answered. Be open, be as forward and honest with me as possible, because we tend to, I mean, you know, it's like when you like somebody, you want them to have the answer that they need. I want to, like, no, I don't have the time for that at this point in life. I'm not willing to give up my single just for anybody. So I'm wanting someone who's their own person. And if I hear you double dutching with answers, like, I ain't nothing about that. I sat in here a few months back, and this woman told me everything that she thought I wanted to hear, and it was all disgusting. I was like, nah. Everything that I do, she wanted to do. Yeah, you know. Oh, I'm thinking about writing a book, and I'm thinking that, you know, I want to paint, and I'll be sitting there like, yeah, it was a good talking to you. I think this is the last time we're gonna talk.
And that's
Nothing about that.
You can't tell people everything. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what I want in a man. I just need you to come forth and tell me what you
Right.
what you offer.
What she was seeing, she saw everything that I had on Facebook and Instagram,
Oh.
and she thought that I wanted somebody like me. I want you to be you. I don't want you to be me. So I need you to come with your own mindset, your own everything. That just kind of, that she lost every bit of my attention that day. Like, okay, well, all right then. You have a great day.
See, I always say I am so much of myself. I don't know how to be nobody else though. Like, especially at this age, I don't know how to pretend, because we both gonna be miserable.
But you know, the thing is, there's so many people that are still evolving and growing and maturing, even at our age. It's scary, and even older than us. Because I went through a season where I was like, okay, maybe I need to date older.
Some of them don't know.
It's not any better. I mean, so it's just all dependent upon, you know, the person, and people are just going through stuff. People just going through stuff, y'all. It's and that's just the God's honest truth. And bless their heart. And I don't even know what else to say. It's just people are going through stuff, and if they see good, they want to try to latch onto it, but they don't know that it's just best for them to just show up and be honest and be true to themselves, because that's what will draw a person to you. Even if you flat out broke, I just rather you say you broke or you having financial troubles versus pretending to be something that you're not. I think I would respect that more. I'd probably be more intrigued about that a little bit more than you pretending to be something that you're not. So
that's so real, because I think that it's not an age, it's just the level of maturity. Because it goes back to what you said, Patrice. I tell people I'm the most independent woman you gonna meet. I'm waiting on somebody to come and take care of me. I can feel protected, provided for. I could do that too, but I just want to feel that way with a man. And when you meet me, you're not in competition with nobody else. You're in competition with my peace of mind, because mental health is very important to me. And you have to know that I'm not just only listening to you, I'm watching everything that you say, because I know exactly what I want now. And in knowing what I want, it's like, do you give me this? And the first thing is, when I'm around you, I have to know that I have to feel like I can be protected if anything pops off. And I ain't saying you gonna fight somebody, just protect, like you checking to make sure I made it home late. You're not having me out too late because I have to get home at a certain, just different things like that. And we're not having a conversation of who pays what bills. I don't want to have that conversation with. If that's the type of a conversation with us, you've already turned me off. And I don't care how fine you are, any of those things. I like an intelligent man, me personally. Like, you're going to get me with your conversation. That's going to be the first thing with everything. So thank you guys for joining us for the Seriously Single Conference.
This was fun.
God hasn't given me the conference for next year, so maybe we'll do I'm Married Now What? Or maybe The Process. Maybe that's what it is. That's what I've been hearing lately. The Process. How to date. Because before we got on here, Ikechi said that we don't know how to date. So maybe that's a conversation that we all need to have is how do you date? As I always say, God has allowed me to be single at 40 with no children. I mean, I have a Chloe. That's my niece daughter. But she's not my child. And at this point, I don't know if I want to have children. If I meet a man, because I just feel like I'm older, it's not a necessity. But marriage is something that I definitely want, you know, so I go either way. So I'm serious about being single until my husband comes, and then I'm going to be his wife. That's going to hire a maid, and we're going to food prep.
I'm here for that.
Listen, Patrice, tell people how they can find you.
So I am on Facebook and Instagram. It's the same name. I am the Patrice. I was lucky to get that combination. So please feel free. I said I need to start posting more. When I went to EKG page, I was jealous. I'm like, I need to do better with my page and my posting. But I have been doing live chats. I have a good friend of mine. We've been co-hosting live chats. And so please check out my page. Please connect with me. I'm open and ready to do other live chats or participate in other conferences. So please hit me up. And thank you, Arnya, again. And it was nice meeting you, KG. This was fun.
You as well.
EKG.
She. Girl, you keep saying G. I'm messing with you. EKG.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and what's that other one?
Twitter?
Not Twitter. Don't worry about it. I'll think about it in a second.
Okay.
At Ikechi Ojore. It's Ikechi Ojore. TikTok. You can find me on TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. Okay.
Mr. Ikechi Ojore. I too am open to as many of these as I can do, and reaching out. You can also find my book on my website at iojoreimagery.com. I wrote a series of letters to my future wife, and I had no plan on publishing a book, but after plenty of people said, "Hey, where's your book?" I said, "All right, let me see what I can do." Please, thank you for the invite to this conference.
You're welcome.
Anybody that wants a signed copy, the link is right there below, right here.
I'm gonna buy a book.
Yeah, I'm about to support too.
I'm actually, not just because you're an author, I've been working on a book. It's called Confidently Speaking, and Patrice has a book in her too. So maybe we all can go on a book tour or something. I don't know. Edie said yes because I
gotta write the book to go on a book tour. So I've been needing
get to writing. That's literally how I started.
I have the chapters and everything.
I have the chapters too. I've been starting, so that's another conversation. Yeah. Edie said, yes, because I need to know how. I guess you meant with dating. And I don't know. The star emoji Iris gave us.
Iris.
So I'm assuming that's a good thing. I don't know nothing about you. I feel so old. As for me, you can find me, LadiCEO, at www.ladywithaniCEO.com. I am lady.ceo on Instagram. I am LadiCEO LLC on Facebook, and I'm LadiCEO on Twitter. I put everybody else's contact information but my own. You can find me every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. on Swagher's IG Live, or right here on my YouTube page, or Swagger's YouTube page for Theories and Thoughts podcast. We do have Theories and Thoughts Deep Dive Talk Show, which is on the Exposure Network app. So you guys can find me anywhere. I am Arnya T.M. Davis, Arnya, whichever one, T.M. Davis on Facebook. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.